Dr. Congressman, appreciate it as always.
Thanks, Leland.
As you listen to Dr. Fauci there, do you feel like we're any closer to answers or just more questions?
A lot more questions. I mean, when we spend American dollars, we should know and have some accountability system to make sure they're not winding up in, the PLA's bio research lab. I mean, it's just ridiculous that there's no way to account for that money. It's not, money is frangible. You hand it to the organization, they can spend it. And he said in that interview with you that it was $1 billion facility. Well, then why do they need our $140,000 a year? I mean, why are we sending money to the lab?
We don't know whether they needed it or not, but they certainly took it. It's like the Harvard endowment. This is what Vanity Fair said today, and I wish this story had come out yesterday so we could have asked him about it. The lab leak theory inside the fight to uncover COVID-19 origins. That is the headline. This is perhaps the most salient sentence. Thomas DiNanno wrote that staff from two bureaus, his own and the Bureau of International Security and Nonproliferation, warned leaders within his bureau not to pursue an investigation into the origin of COVID-19 because it would, quote, open a can of worms if it continued. It's kind of speechless. Isn't opening a can of worms what investigations are supposed to do?
Yeah, I would think so. And I would think it's really important to find out where this virus came from when millions across this planet have died. The study out of Colombia that cited if we had only known 3 weeks earlier, 66% of the deaths could have been prevented. And of course, Colombia is not some, conservative bastion. This is ridiculous that they would even suggest.
This would be the question, though. Why does there seem to be such intractability among the bureaucratic class in Washington to get answers? Where a virus came from that's killed 500,000 Americans, 5 Americans die, and all of a sudden we want to know how it happened and why. I think about all the investigations into Benghazi, which were rightfully done. Why wouldn't we want to know these answers?
Honestly, Leland, I can only speculate why someone would not want to know. I've seen articles that suggested that or said that Dr. Redfield, his life was threatened because he mentioned or suggested that this thing may have been a leak at the lab, threatened by other scientists. I mean, I can only speculate that it has something to do with who was the president at the time. And, they would not want to take blame off of President Trump. That's the only...
Could it go the other way, though, that maybe people are interested in protecting the Chinese or protecting their relationships inside China? Because we know the Chinese have enormous influence inside American universities. They spend millions of dollars hiring professors for lectures and for other work inside China and then to be done in the United States. We know they have big institutional workings inside the State Department and other U.S. bureaucratic agencies where they spend a lot of money, and also inside the UN.
I mean, that's certainly very possible. But you look at Fauci, I mean, we're talking $600,000. I mean, you don't cover something up for $600,000.
But do you cover something up if your $600,000 went to fund the research that created the coronavirus?
Absolutely, you do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
This was interesting, and now I'm going to ask you to take your congressman's hat on and put your doctor's hat on, because you and I have been talking since the beginning of the pandemic, and also sort of where this disease came from. National Review had this headline: the world's most powerful authoritarian government just can't find an infected pangolin. Pangolins would be, I guess, the smoking gun between bats and humans, right? And somehow the Chinese haven't been able to find this and have told the world to go look at Fort Detrick, Maryland, where they say the coronavirus came from. And I'm wondering, are we going to ever actually know where it came from, or are we going to have to just have this anecdotal evidence that there's really very little evidence of bat to human transmission and a lot of evidence or circumstantial evidence of lab to human transmission?
Leland, one of the things that most upsets me about this is just the integrity of the scientific community that's at risk here. I mean, we remember when we were killing a bunch of chickens back with the bird flu. I mean, we should be able to have an animal or a bat, and know exactly where this thing came from. We can sequence this DNA. We know exactly every piece of this DNA and can determine when a segment comes from another animal. The fact that no one's digging into this or asking this hard question is embarrassing to anyone who's a physician or a scientist.
It's interesting because Dr. Fauci said when it comes to the investigation, I'm quoting now, don't be accusatory. All right. I think your facial expression speaks for itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous.
All right. Congressman Mark Green, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. Good to see you as always, sir.
Thanks. Great to see you.
Good to see you.